The Behind Ears podcast crew would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support. Hey everybody, it's Mr. Chris, and I got to tell you about Expedition Roasters. Listen, I'm a pretty big coffee drinker, just like a lot of you are, but these people have got coffee right. Their coffees are made from selectively sourced premium and specialty grade Arabica beans. They provide the absolute best flavor and aroma, and select roasts even come directly from a single estate farm for a truly perfect cup that is never bitter. They've got awesome Disney-inspired flavors such as Roundhouse Roast, Route 66, Skipper's Brew, Dark Side Roast, Redhead Rum, and one of my favorites, Bobsledder's Brew. Listen, if you want to have the taste of Disney in every cup, give them a try today. Expeditionroasters.com, and Behind the Ears podcast listeners gets an extra 20% off your first order by using the coupon code EARS20. That's right, EARS20. And you can find them over at expeditionroasters.com. Brew your happy place. If you have a little one and you're going to Walt Disney World, you're going to need a stroller. I'll tell you what, KingdomStrollers.com is the place where you want to look into. I'll tell you, I've destroyed my fair share of strollers while at Walt Disney World, and those things are not cheap. But getting something from KingdomStrollers.com, they'll be able to help you pick out the perfect stroller for you. And the nice part is that because they're a Disney preferred provider, they'll be able to drop it off and pick it up right from your Disney resort at no extra charge. So if you don't want to necessarily destroy your stroller in the process and you want to have a great Disney vacation with your little one, contact KingdomStrollers.com and they'll set you right up. That's KingdomStrollers.com. Do you want to save around 40% off Disney's prices for deluxe on-property accommodations? Contact DVC-rental.com. They help out Disney Vacation Club owners rent out points that they're not going to use. These points mean savings for you on your next trip at Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Vero Beach, Florida, and Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. The DVC member books everything in your name, just like any other reservation. And if you ever decide that you want to become a DVC member, you can check out our sister company, BuyAndSellDVC.com. As a licensed realtor, they sell DVC contracts for members at a savings of 30 to 40% off Disney's prices. And if you're looking to sell your contract, BuyAndSellDVC.com has one of the industry's lowest commissions at only 6.5%. Again, that's DVC-rental.com for your rental needs, and BuyAndSellDVC.com to buy or sell into the Disney Vacation Club at a large discount. And make sure you tell them that the Behind Ears podcast crew sent you. You're listening to the Behind Ears podcast, because everybody does Disney differently.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears podcast. Yeah, I'm Uncle Danny. That is Mr. Chris. And this is Behind the Ears podcast. We are proud to not only be in your ears, in your eyes, but we are on Facebook and YouTube for the first time ever at the same time. If I had a cue to play a round of applause and some cheering from an audience.
Oh, that's what I should have done.
But Chris dropped the ball. No. With that being said, we thank you, everybody. However you're watching us, however you're listening to us, we just appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come check us out. If you're new to the show, this is a Disney-inspired podcast. We talk about everything Disney with a high concentration inside of Disney World. We go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 9:45, not only now on Facebook, but also YouTube. So with that being said, sir, how you doing in that snowy, cold Midwest?
Oh my gosh, we can't get rid of this stuff, man. I mean, my kid had no school again today because of ice.
Wow.
Ice. There was that much ice on the ground. I woke up at 5:30 this morning hearing some guy literally just constantly spin his wheels going past my house. It's like, dude, you probably should just turn around, go home and get yourself a cup of Expedition Roasters and just chill out for a couple hours. They actually didn't start clearing our street until 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. And the ice was so thick that they actually had the snow blade down, scraping the ice off the ground. It was
and there
horrible.
Goes your paper.
And yeah. Like,
and that, my friends, is how potholes are created.
Yeah, and considering we just had a lot of our subdivision redone, and yeah, it's one of those cases where, what's the best way of putting it? It's one of those cases where, it's an HOA, so we technically pay for it all.
See, Chris gives you the whole car talk with Mr. Chris. I'll give you the random facts with Uncle Danny. So, now that you change hats, I was too lazy to run downstairs. But let's start off talking this evening about Mickey's 90th celebration. Happy birthday.
Birthday celebration. Yeah.
Whatever you want to look at it, but there was the big announced pop-up museum that has been going on for months now. But it just ended today. It ended on Sunday. So Sunday was what, the 10th, something like that, February 10th for whoever, if you're listening to this later.
Right.
So February 10th was the last day for the pop-up museum, and the lovely Lindsay was able to get us in Saturday. So we're going to touch on that. I'm not going to go into crazy detail because I don't want to actually
spoil
people. No, I mean, there's nothing to spoil. It's not like you can go see it anymore. I just need to readjust this real quick because that's going to bother. They live in Bejeebus, and that's not what I wanted.
We always tell people we're live and unscripted. This is just a good example.
What's really bothering me is the Uncle Danny right here. It's like almost covering my mouth, and I don't know why it's different tonight.
Well, you are covering up that stubble.
I know. Okay, so let's get back into it. So this was, if anybody's familiar with the New York City area. This was basically right next to the water, right over where the Ground Zero museum is. So a bit of a hike outside of everything. Most people like us, we took the train in to Madison Square Garden or Penn Station, however you want to look at it. And it is a bit of a ride. So let's start with this is when you get in a taxi cab, people, make sure that they understand exactly where you're going. Don't feel bad. Repeat yourself 9 times. I repeated myself 8 times. The guy brought me 40 blocks the wrong way. I'm sitting in the car, and I'm starting to get car sick. And I'm like, man, I've been in the back of this Prius for quite a while now. And we had to go to 60 10th Street. He was bringing me to 60th Street. I caught him when we got to 48th. And we still had to pay it.
Why'd you tell him to turn his butt around?
We did. We finally told him to turn around, but what should have been like a $9 taxi ride cost us $23. Now, here's the thing. Normally, we would argue, but it was at the moment where they block you. They put you in the block scheduling because they don't want a large amount of people in a small area. So we bought tickets for 2:30.
Okay.
We got off the train at 2:20. So we knew we were cutting it tight for New York City, but we figured we can get there.
Okay.
We didn't show up till 3:10. So we were 40 minutes late. Now, granted, they didn't even ask for an explanation. They just scanned our tickets, and we walked right on in.
Well, that's good.
I've only put up a couple pictures so far. There'll be more has come out. I didn't want to – I've noticed when we upload a lot into Instagram at one time, things kind of get lost in the shuffle, and people don't really get to see everything. So I'm trying to space it out, at least one a day, and then over the weekend I'll kick out a couple more. Some of them need a little bit of love. They were taken from an iPhone. So I will say this. There was not many children.
Really?
No. It was basically a lot of adults, a lot of groups. I guess people wanting, what are you going to do on a Saturday in New York City when it's 31 degrees outside and windy? So, I know a lot of people probably – and for when I also overheard a conversation, not positive if it was true or not, probably there might have been a Groupon where maybe people were getting tickets a little bit cheaper. Because it was going away.
Sure.
But let's dive right into it. They basically break it into several different rooms. And I thought this was more of a historical museum.
Okay.
It was more of a pop-up of an art museum. So they did have some historical figures and things in there. They had, Mouseketeer, the cowboy and the princess, not a princess. What's the girl version of a cowboy?
Cowgirl,
I guess. Like the old school Western. You've all seen it. They had the drum. They had some historical things there. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of it was art. But the nice thing was when you first walk in, the whole first wall. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. When you first walk in, you walk into a queue. So you walk into a holding cell, is what I called it. And then from that holding cell, they brought you to the detention cell. But the detention cell was an entire screen, and they just play hip-hop music, but go through what you're about to see, all the different Mickeys and everything that Walt was celebrating. So that was really cool. So when you walk out of that room, you immediately walk into this giant open room, and they have graffiti on the one wall, but the other wall is just Mickey and Minnie's neon lights, which was really cool. And then they had a Steamboat Willie boat right there, and that was the first picture. No, I haven't put that picture out yet.
No, I'm saying I would love to have seen that.
Yeah, you'll be able to see pictures quite shortly, like I said. But and then basically that's all it was. They had a couple optical illusions where they had like little Mickey footprints on the floor where they told you to stand here, and when you took the picture, you like all that art on that one wall made perfect sense. They had some other cool stuff. You walked into like a diner area, and they had a couple TVs playing, and I got to see Justin Timberlake, all like the old school Mouseketeers that were over the years.
I was going to say Justin Timberlake would have been the new school Mouseketeers, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, I guess at this, my apologies for that. We got free ice cream, one scoop, but I went up for seconds. So that was really interesting. I really, really enjoyed it. I did feel like there was a couple things lacking in it for the price. And I'll tell you the biggest thing that I disliked about it. I feel like, and I am a critical person. I get that. Before people start really? When it comes to Disney, I can be very critical. They really left a lot to the imagination when it came to the gift shop. Really? There was literally, I thought they would have pumped you with Disney stuff right there. Because I literally walked out of there thinking, all right, I got my credit card in hand. Let's go to town.
Sure.
And you could design some T-shirts, which were not attractive in my opinion. They had pins. They had a little wallet. The nicest thing they had was this artist designed a sculpture of Mickey and Minnie, and it almost looks like their whole body was made out of like leaves, but it was all crystal. So I was like, oh, okay, well, you get an extra 10% off being a Chase Disney member, and they were running promos because they were trying to get rid of everything. So I said to the lady, oh, well, how much for the Mickey and Minnie set? I want them both. She goes, $1,500, and you could save 10% today. I looked at it. I was like, you're out of your mind. You ain't selling this.
$1,500?
$1,500. And the other thing.
How big were they?
What?
How big were they?
Foot and a half.
Oh, so they're a nice size figurine then.
Oh, yes. And they were thick and they were solid. And they were all, I want to call it crystal. I want to call it porcelain.
Okay.
I would. Was it worth $1,500? To somebody, maybe. So that was my biggest downfall with the Mickey Museum. I would say the second biggest one would have been the fact that we found out that when they closed on Sunday, we asked them, like, oh, what happens to your employees and what happens to, all the artifacts? Some of the employees either got full-time positions with Disney. Some were actually taking positions down in Florida. And others were just walking out the door. So you're like, oh, what are you mad about that? That was good employment. Good for them. What I didn't like is, so either Disney would take back the stuff that was going back to their archives, or if the artist wanted their items back. But if the artist was like, hey, we donated it, that's good. And if Disney says, hey, we don't want it, instead of me personally saying, okay, this is how my mind would work, let's auction it off. Let's give it to a charity. You were in New York City, maybe raise money for, the homeless, for special needs, whatever you want. There was a million charities you could have sold for, and you would have had suckers like me that would have been like, I'll buy it. Me and this one lady both were looking at this one thing. It was an entire wall of crochet. Okay. Lady did it in one day, blindfolded. And it was Mickey playing a trumpet, and all the music that was coming out of him that was out of the trumpet that was crochet were little Mickey heads everywhere. It was stunning. But if the artist doesn't want it back and Disney doesn't feel it's necessary for them to take it, they destroy it.
What? No,
so that's what the lady said. Like, I was like, I will give you my card. I was like, if not me, I have a clientele of people that will buy this from you. You guys can make money. What you want to do with that money, who cares? I'm not telling you how to spend your money. Sell it. Nope. Per Disney, they were destroying it.
Okay, so I realize it's a little bit too late to have a hypothetical situation, though.
Okay.
But if you knew who the artist was and you were able to contact them, it would be like, hey, Jane, we'd like to I don't know what you want to do with that piece at the exhibit, but we'd like to buy it from you.
You'd have to do some digging. Some things did have full names. Some only had first names. Some had pseudonyms. So you really, if you fell in love with something, you had to basically hope that the stars all aligned.
Wow.
In that aspect. But why don't you talk to them for a second? Because I want to grab the bags of stuff that I bought. So I can show everybody.
Okay. Well, the interesting part to this type of thing, I was really looking forward to hearing what Danny had to say about this, because, when it comes to Disney type exhibits, I just think that some of them are so cool and they're different, but it adds a little bit of Disney flair to your average ordinary day. For example, earlier in the fall, I got to go to the Science of Pixar exhibit over at the Museum of Science and Industry. Absolutely fabulous exhibit. I loved the Museum of Science and Industry in the first place, and they always have some great special exhibits. And, I got to see, one that had to deal with Mickey. I got to see the one with Pixar, which I really thought was stunning. And, to hear and see some of the pictures from where Danny was this past weekend, it looked really cool. And I realized it was kind of a pop-up type of item, and you don't get too much of a chance to go see it, but I'll gotta tell you, I'm kind of envious. And now, Danny, you're back. What did you want to show us?
All right, so I know, over on YouTube, Brian is commenting it's well documented and reported who made it. If you dig, yes, it is not well documented on every piece. I promise you, because I even took pictures of it. I thought it was really odd that they wouldn't put their full name on a piece that is being displayed for people to see. I will have to post that picture of it.
I agree. I do think it's kind of odd that, an artist wouldn't want their name associated, because, especially in this day and age of social media, it would have been simple to, Google someone's name, go on Facebook, search someone's name, and find out exactly what's going on. Maybe that's another thing of, why they didn't want to do that. I don't know. It's New York.
So another thing is, if you do visit the Disney store in New York City, I don't know if yours is the same way, but they also are on the trend of what Disney World is doing, and they do not offer the plastic bags.
Oh,
so I don't know if is that a Disney-wide thing?
That is a Disney store-wide thing. Basically, that started a long time ago, and basically the Disney store was going to basically use plastic bags until they were done. Then after that, they will not be offering plastic bags, but they do have some nice reusable bags that are relatively inexpensive, and they are just really cool. So that is
I
it.
plan on buying every bag they have, and me and Chris haven't discussed this, but if worst comes to worst, will come out of my pocket only. I want to give a couple of those bags away.
I think
they're awesome ideas.
I gotta be honest with you. I think we should get a ton of those bags and just give them away as door prizes for the upcoming Give Kids World Marathon show.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
So this is the cool bag that you get.
Oh, okay. The Mickey True Original Exhibition, a nice little artist type of font.
And then, so general admission was, I think, like $35 or something like that, and then you can get the extra add-on of the ears.
Aha! So you got a set of ears. Oh, that is so cool.
Get a second of ears. And the cool thing is, if you can see in there.
Oh, it even has the logo and Mickey inside, too. That's a really nice set of ears.
And now these ears alone were $17. So you got a deal by buying it pre-advance with that ticket, then buying it solo. And on top of it, you got free embroidery.
So what did you get on the back?
Well, I mean, all right. This is for me and Lindsay because I have ears. I don't need another pair of Uncle Danny ears. So because it was a Valentine's Day gift.
I love you.
So it was something because it was going to be a memory for, of that trip.
That's cool. That's really cool. Obviously, actually, what's cool is that either one of you can. Did you only get one of those for the two of you?
Yeah, because we both don't need a set of ears. And she got it for me because she knew I would like it in the office.
That's cool.
Because there will be, in the next period of time, things will be announced and there will be a new office.
Yes.
So this is one of the things we bought. And it is a shadow box. Can you see that good?
Yeah, that looks good.
And now, in the shadow box, right here, is candy.
Oh.
So you can see right there.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
What comes in it? We have the Mickey buttons, Mickey gloves, and Mickey ears, and it's a candy bento box. I was hoping to see what they were, but pretty cool. And then you can see the box. The box will open, so you'll always have that shadow box, and then right here will be said candy. Actually, I could even take the candy out because they come in different little boxes, which I thought was really cool.
Sure.
So these look like gummies in the little old school Mickey head.
Okay.
These, I believe, are white chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
And these are sort of mixed berries.
Okay.
Okay. And, it's kind of cool because the drawer will always stay there inside the shadow box. So, listen, what am I going to use it for? I don't know. Okay. But it was buy one, get one free, and we got money off of it. So then the free item we got was, I really wanted it just for the box, and plus it was free. It just has more candy in it. But I think it will be an adorable box. I'm not sure what to do with it yet, but
that is, okay. Let's face it. You and I are suckers for anything that's shaped as a Mickey head.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we were just talking about buttons and how I don't personally collect them. So I went out and got myself some buttons, normally $8. They were going because I don't know if they were doing this the entire time or if it was because it was the second to last day, but I got the 4-pack of buttons for $2.99. So not bad. And these were my favorite. If you could see that Mickey right there, they had a giant mural of him, and if I could have stolen one thing, it would have been him.
Okay. By the way, I just wanted to go ahead and make mention here. Brian over on YouTube makes a comment. London K did the crochet. She was a contestant on The Amazing Race, I believe, last season.
Okay, cool.
That would be cool.
Went to my local grocery store, found this bad boy.
Oh, you finally picked that up?
Finally picked it up. Can't believe it was $17, but
oh my gosh! Here's the interesting part. You think that's bad, and really it's not. It's actually a really good magazine. There are a couple versions of that magazine that are like counterfeits. I won't say counterfeits. They're just fakes. They're not from Life magazine. And the thing is, someone might say, well, wow, that's, you're going to spend $17 on that. Well, truth be told, when I was a D23 member getting the magazine, I was paying about $17 each for one of those magazines. Because that was the only real reason why I became a D23 member, was for the magazine. Because I really don't have the opportunity to do any of the real D23 events per se without shelling out double junk load of cash. I mainly got it for the magazine. So, there you go. And it's really cool.
while we were in New York City, we had a little time to kill before dinner. So I was like, hey, me and Chris were just talking about something on the show the other day. I was like, and we don't have a Disney store relatively close. There's one in Times Square. Let's go. So, I had to go out.
Oh, you got the pizza. Oh, you got the pizza Planet head. I am so happy.
I'm so pumped about that, which will go great on my head while drinking out of my
Yes, we're twinsies. We're twinsies.
I almost pulled it out for tonight. I was like, what type of liquor can I put in this tonight? It was one of those types of things.
Irish coffee. Irish coffee.
Oh, I just dropped it. Hopefully it didn't break. So the last thing I bought, and it was something that I saw for her. So, all right, I can't go into the backstory for this because that will reveal something else later. So, but I'm a sucker for coffee mugs, and I literally will buy any type of coffee mug especially when related to Disney. And I looked at the Alice Toy Barn, and honestly, that's going to be more of a show mug, literally either on a wall or for the show, because you can fit like 4 ounces of coffee in there.
It's not a big cup. I mean, it really isn't, no. Especially if you're like me. Okay, I'll be honest. I've got my big, huge tumbler here. I fill this puppy up every morning, and it lasts me maybe half the day. And you got to have one of these things if you really are serious about coffee. Yeah,
I mean, I drink just over, on an average day, let's call it an average day, I'll drink about 50 ounces of coffee. I mean, my mug is 25 ounces, so
how do you sleep at night?
Oh, dude, I could drink coffee right now and go right to bed.
Oh.
Caffeine does nothing. It does not wake me up, but it keeps me going, but not when I want to go to sleep. So back to the mug thing. I love finding Disney mugs that are appropriate in the sense of something that I can't go to Disney World and I can't get. Not that nobody else can get, but I like generic mugs, but I also like the oddity mugs that maybe other people in the country won't be able to get unless they come to my side of the town.
Sure.
So I was able to find it says the official, the Disney Store New York City official. And then on the other side is Minnie Mouse as the Statue of Liberty, and everything written in there are all the different towns located, or boroughs essentially located inside of
New York City, New York State, or New York City itself.
Yeah, the whole New York City area. Wow. So that was obviously Lindsay's because it's Minnie Mouse and that's her favorite. So, but yeah, so I would say to wrap up on that one, it was a successful trip. Would I recommend it to a friend? Yes. But with the notion of, listen, this is what you're walking into. This is the price. Don't really need to bring really any crazy extra money. They allot you 4 hours. We took our time. Did I read every single thing about the artist? No, I will admit that. But we did it no problem in a very heavily crowded area in an hour and a half. It's not big. But I mean, I guess if it was really crowded, I could see why they allot you 4 hours, because they allot you 4 hours. If I don't know what happens if you hit that 4 hour mark and you're still in there, but they made it seem like the balloon ladies come and they sweep you out of there. But yeah, wrap it up. It was a good time. It was a great experience. I love being able to go. I love being able to be in the city for the afternoon, and it's only an hour from us, so it's a nice little day trip. It was really cool. I look forward to any future ones, maybe. I would love to see them maybe do another pop-up in a year in that same space for maybe, the 50th anniversary of, Magic Kingdom, essentially. I don't think that'll ever happen. But, yeah, I really had a good time. But moving on.
Yeah, that's actually really pretty cool. I'm glad you had a good time. And boy, that mug from the Disney Store NYC, that's actually pretty cool, man. And I will tell you this, I do try to go visit a local Disney store whenever I go traveling. Okay. I have no idea why. It's almost
unique things. Now, Chris, tell me something.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't know this, we'll call it the Chicagoland Disney Store.
Sure.
Or even Indianapolis when we go there for the Indy Disney meet. Do you think they have Indiana-inspired mugs from Disney? Like, you go to your local store, do they have anything that is for that area, like how we have the New York City mug? Like, when you walk in, the whole first section of the store is New York City Mickey and Minnie.
Our local Disney store does not have anything that's unique to the area, and I would have to ask a cast member that I know to see if they do anything. Bless you. See if they do anything specific for the 2 downtown Disney stores that they have in Chicago. Because there's one off of State Street and there's one off of Michigan Avenue, and they are different from one another. They are different style of stores from one another. They're both unique. And, the Disney store, they have a couple different names for those, like the decorum of the stores. And I can't remember. One is called an IP store, where it has a lot more, I call it glitz and glam. That's what I call it.
Okay.
They have a lot more interactivity for younger guests. It's actually really pretty cool. The one Disney store that's up by us is I think they call it the Pipe and Ladder Disney store. It's basically done up with a lot more like a movie set, and it's really awesome. I love our Disney store.
I will say this, and this is not a knock on all cast members. Please do not take it that way. If you're we have a lot of cast members, listeners, so it's not a knock. I just had overall a fantastic experience with the cast members, not only in the Disney exhibit, because I kind of anticipated that, but the Disney store in Times Square. I mean, that might be one of their busiest stores.
Sure.
Outside of maybe LA. I don't have statistical numbers to back that fact up. It's just a wild guess at this point. We had such a fantastic interaction with one cast member, and if we weren't trying to catch the train back out to get our car back in Jersey, I wish I could have sat down and talked to her, because we were talking about the podcast a little bit, and stupid me who goes to a Mickey museum and doesn't have cards on you, business cards. Silly me. Hey, I almost wore my shirt and then Lindsay yelled at me, so blame her, okay?
I ain't blame her.
Nice. But she was fantastic. We had the mugs in our hand, and we were kind of looking around, and they had this little section that was more towards the children's section on the second floor, and it was Lady and the Tramp, and I was like, oh, that's adorable. Look at that Lady and the Tramp. That'd be a great picture. So I take a picture. She goes, we actually have a picture that we'll take for you for free. And I was like, sure, no problem. So we put our bags down, walk over, you sit down at the table, and they give you a fake piece of spaghetti, which is a string, and you hold it up. But they do tell you, please do not put it in your mouth. So you know it's been happened before. It's like the honey wallet on Winnie the Pooh. And they take the picture. And once I find that picture, Lindsay's got it, I'll post it. And my God, that she was one of, hands down, the best cast members that I've dealt with in a very long time. And a simple sales, I shouldn't, that sounds terrible. Just a sales associate. She wasn't a manager. She wasn't dealing with a crisis. She was dealing with like 13 other customers, dealt with them, happened to just catch us on a glance, said, wait, I'll be right back and I'll take a picture for you. Which then ensued in a line of people who saw us doing it and wanted a picture taken. But she just went above and beyond. Exactly what me as a consumer and the idea of the way Disney built his company, this is what I expect out of cast members. And I truly got that magical experience from her. And it really was. It was a great time dealing with them. And
the thing is one of the Disney store's mission is to basically extend that magical experience from the parks to their local store. And it sounds like that particular cast member really honestly really accomplished that. And a couple of comments here just to let you know, over from our Facebook viewers. Jessica says, hey, we try to hit a Disney store in every city that we go to that has one. Also, in reference to city specific merch, Jessica also says Chicago does have Chicago specific merch. Let's see, Mary was just thinking it's just a New York City one, but Jessica kind of confirmed at least Chicago. Although Milwaukee does not have anything specific according to Bonnie. Let's see. Cynthia mentions Chicago has some Windy City merch. And let's see. Yeah, I'm kind of just scrolling through a little bit, and
I'll put it this way: I'm going to put a post out. If any of the close people in this community ever want to snap a picture of mugs that are designated for your area, an area that I will, and we will figure out a way for a transfer of goods and services for money, for monies, all the monies. I don't care. I know it's not possible because not every state does this. It would be awesome to try to collect all the mugs that represent an area, because all the mugs would bring something personal to it. Like, New York City did the Statue of Liberty with Minnie. I would love to see what everybody else's mugs do. I'm sure someone will comment and say, Danny, you could just Google this. I know, but I like it more personal from when people take the time and they remember this. I'm not saying you're going to run out to the Disney store tomorrow, but I like the fact when people are in a Disney store and they see it, they're like, oh, remember they were talking about that? Let me take a picture. It just, it is nice. But moving to more pressing things. I thought some exciting news coming out of Disney World about a day ago.
What's that?
Did anybody see the video where Kevin arrived at Disney's Animal Kingdom?
Yes. And all I got is
about time.
Oh my gosh, way overdue. Seriously, how do you not celebrate movie Up and the Wilderness Explorers and not have Kevin? Seriously. I mean, they have had Doug, they've had Russell, and all the other characters. They've not had Kevin. And the cool part about it is that he's pretty much a free roaming character, which I think is epic.
I think that's fantastic. I think it's well deserved. It's well overdue.
Yes.
Super cool. I love the idea that Disney's starting to, put in more, I don't want to call them subtle characters, but maybe not lead characters, but, the secondary characters that fans fall in love with. And I like being able to see that. I will say this. I feel bad for the guy or gal, or both, I mean, maybe, I don't know, it's probably only one person, I would assume, but who has to wear that costume. That looks terribly uncomfortable, and I'm sure that's not going to be very well ventilated during the summer.
Well, the only thing I got to say is with my luck, I'll not be able to get to see Kevin before things change again. No. That'd be my luck.
So, another thing I want to talk about is there was an article put out a day ago saying that the security screening improvements are coming to Magic Kingdom's Contemporary Resort walkway. And I've done this walkway numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it was great. I didn't see that there was never a buildup of people. I felt they were just as thorough as the other areas outside of main gates.
Right.
And I was just a little shocked that I know that they're basically trying to move it, but call it moving. Don't call it improvements, because I was a little confused on it. So Disney has filed plans for improvements to the security screening area on the walkway between the Magic Kingdom and Disney's Contemporary Resorts. Plans show a proposal shade structure in the location of the existing tent that currently houses the security checkpoint.
Sure.
Along with a more permanent structure, the area also offers more space as it expands into existing landscaped area. Disney is currently undertaking a property-wide initiative to improve the arrival experience for guests at the theme parks, which is a focus of streaming the security screening. Many of the existing security screening points were very likely added in 2017 in response to moving the Magic Kingdom security screening to the TTC. Work is well underway on major changes to Disney's Hollywood Studios arrival experience, and now it appears it will begin on the smaller areas such as resort checkpoints. So I revisit what I just said. How is it an improvement? All you're doing is adding a structure. You didn't even move it. That's an improvement?
Well, I think anything that you could say that goes from a pretty much semi-temporary, semi-permanent situation to a more permanent location is considered an improvement, because before it wasn't really, it was, well, it looked like a temporary solution to me, but I think they kind of had to do a temporary solution there just mainly to, I don't know, test it out to make sure that that was the right place to put it in.
See, Brian brings up a good point. Orlando Theme Park 360 over on YouTube commenting right now. The tent closes a lot. It needs a building. Okay, that's fine. This is where I agree with him. I would call it an upgrade, not an improvement. Because I guess it's I know we're arguing semantics. I'm just saying it's an improvement for the cast members. But it's not an improvement to me. You didn't what did you streamline? You streamlined the idea of getting, that bottlenecking that happens at the bottom of Magic Kingdom prior to scanning your bands, right? So, and I agree. Now, I have missed the monorail because of going through security at Polynesian before. Not the end of the world. Monorails come pretty quickly. It gives you a chance to take in the scenery. But if they should be worried, and I all think a lot of these things that they're doing, and prove me wrong, it's to streamline things for when the 50th comes around and dealing with the influx of celebrities and more guests and just max capacity crowds. Here's my thing. Can we fix the scans when you walk in with your Magic Band and your fingerprint? Because those are what causes the line back up. In my opinion, not the security delays. And also, could we have a cast member that when you have that one line of annual passes section, if you have an annual pass, they call it the shortcut. It's just, you don't have to deal with the general population, even though there's a sign there. When you walk up, there's a sign above you. A lot of people just don't care, because you know what happens when they walk up and they scan their finger and it says you're not an annual pass member. Well, now the annual pass members behind you are held up because they can't get in because there's only one scanner. And the cast members end up just bringing their other iPad over, you scanning your finger and walking in anyway, which at that point defeated the purpose of what they did. I don't know.
It's kind of interesting you say that, because there was a meme going around a little bit that says, they should have a fast pass line for people that know how to get through the virtual turnstiles on the first try. And I know that some people were kind of joking around a little bit about that sort of thing. Unfortunately, I don't think it's really a joke, because there are so many times where people don't know how to use a simple Magic Band or a ticket and a finger scan. People just don't understand it. And it's almost like you need to have a little bit of a video of, they do it for all these other attractions to show how to do something. Why don't they show something like that on some buses? A little video, just, a little loop as to what they need to do. Have your Magic Band on your wrist, have your ticket card out, and have your party together. Things like that. I would
want to jump off a cliff if I had to watch that over and over again.
No, I get it. But if it helped keep things in order, would you mind it?
No, I agree.
I mean, it's not one of those things. I mean, and I'm not saying this as a rant, okay? I'm not trying to criticize people who are not all that experienced. I'm really not. That's not the point, so don't get me wrong. What I'm really just trying to say is that, okay, I equate it to trying to go through the TSA line at the airport. I have a very quick process getting in and out of TSA, because I've done it so many times in my life. I don't have any issues because I am prepared. There have been times where even my best preparation gets me stuck behind the family with 4 kids, and they've never traveled before through an airport. Well, it's very much the same thing as traveling through the turnstiles at Disney. And it's just one of those cases where I just think a little bit of preparation would help. Like, hey, we're arriving at Epcot. This is what you should expect. You're going to go through security. If you have no bags, go through the no bag line. If you have bags, go through the bag line. Make sure that your camera is off, camera strap is off your shoulder. Put your bag down. Allow the security cast member to take care of things. Take your stuff, go to the tickets. Make sure your wristband is on your wrist, and that's what you do. You put Mickey head to Mickey head, and you place your finger on the thing, and so on and so forth. And, I bet you any money, if they do some technology updates in those particular areas, that would be one of the most logical things, I would say. And I bet you any money you'd be able to cut some of those long wait times by at least 25%.
Yeah, we're not going to even dive into that.
Well, what couple of things though? Some comments basically saying here. Let's see. They need to fix Epcot. It's horrible. I'm assuming they're referring to security. And you know what? Really, I think does have some of the longest lines.
They're the most thorough.
They're the most thorough. It's the longest. Bro, it's time to improve Epcot as well. And let's see. It's one of those cases where they were also referring to the structure for the contemporary walkway, making it permanent. It's a tent now. They were freezing in January. Let's see. Beth makes the comment, you have to plan at least an hour to get through security. Although I will say this, I've never had to wait more than, say, 10 minutes to get through security, even in the busiest summer season. But I do know it can get crazy. So I'm not debating that. I'm just expressing my own personal experiences. Let's see. I had someone checking to be sure I was an AP before I can get near that gate at Epcot, Mary mentions as well. Let's see. I'm trying to think what else. Let's see. Jamie basically says, Danny, I agree with the fingerprinting. This could be made as an optional part of the resort check-in to help this. The thing is, though, keep in mind, it's not a fingerprint. Okay. They're not taking your fingerprint. They're taking biometric measurements of your finger. So and they don't store a fingerprint. So there's a little bit of difference in how it actually works there. So it'll be one of those.
It doesn't recognize your fingerprint?
It's not an actual fingerprint. It's called biometrics, and it's the different measurements in your finger, different kinds of densities and things like that. It's very widely
pretty close to a fingerprint.
Well, not necessarily, but because you don't need a fingerprint, so to speak, in order for it to work. It just measures density in your finger.
All right, so we need somebody who doesn't have a fingerprint on one of their fingers. I want to try this out. I have a social experiment. I will fly down there. Chris, you could burn off one of your fingerprints. What about your pinky? You can keep the pinky. You just don't need the fingerprint. You still got 9 other fingers.
Well, I am going to be working on Virginia's exhaust system coming up in a couple weeks.
Just put your finger on it real quick.
Alex basically makes a comment. He goes, it's like McDonald's. Have signs before you approach the drive-through side. Please have your payment ready.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Oh, Enrique goes, red, purple, gray only lines, please. I love it. It's one of those. I think that would be funny.
I will be able to do the social experiment.
Why do you say that?
Lindsay doesn't have 2 fingerprints on 2 of her fingers.
There you go. I like that. Jimmy, our friend over at the Disney Nerds podcast, he goes, hey, there definitely should be a line specifically for people with the gray bands. The magic band of shit. That's right. Let's see. So Christina basically mentions my husband's fingerprints are not usually picked up because of his job. He does not have issues going through the scan. There you go. There's one idea. They need to change. Chris, our friend Chris Hiller, our man on the street, our local communications director, basically says, hey, they need to change it to the same security that Universal does. Universal only beats Disney with one thing, and that's security. Everybody goes through the security screenings. So, yeah, it's one of those things. Oh, and Chris, another Chris mentions, according to my, preparations for the experience, what's the worst that can happen? You grab an exhaust pipe and you'll know it. Thanks, Chris. I know it'll happen. Trust me. There'll be a story, and maybe it'll even be done live. Who knows? John also says, hey, just put glue on your fingers. I can understand that. It's one of those, things. Yeah. So there you go. I do think that they kind of need to have some things sped up a little bit. I think, I don't have a problem with security at all. I really don't. Then again, we try to make sure that what we take is what we need. We don't overpack. I do know there's a lot of people that have to pack a lot more because of younger kids or even babies, infants, toddlers, that sort of thing. I totally get it. And yes, you have to go ahead and make sure that you really account for a good amount of time to go through security. I get it. And so I'm a little lucky on that point, my current stage of life. But we'll just have to see how that goes. But I do think that as they upgrade some things at the different parks, I bet you any money we're going to start seeing some subtle unannounced changes to security, to signage, and so on and so forth to help the guest experience.
All right, so as we wrap up here, I want to touch on two quick things. I'm not going to dive into it.
Okay.
But I know this has been brought up privately in group chats that I'm part of, and it's just something that caught my eye. And we saw that Disney started capitalizing on their ear game by basically doing what these Etsy ear makers have been doing for, quite a long time.
Sure.
Where they were designing them. And now Disney is finally being like, well, all these people are making killer money. Let's jump into that game as well and make more. I'm not calling them personalized ears, but more than just your simple designs. They're more geared towards the movies and everything.
They're artistic.
Yes. Well, Shop Disney now introduces customizable Disney Park T-shirts and gear. That is huge. That is going to run a lot of the mom and pop Etsy creators not out of business, but once Disney gets this ball rolling, people will start to use it. Now, yes, they will always be probably more than likely, I shouldn't say always, but more than likely more expensive than the Etsy shop would, but people are just going to put the name and the security of ordering straight from Disney compared to someone you may not know. Guests who enjoy wearing matching t-shirts during Disney theme park vacation might be interested in knowing a new line of customizable clothing and gear. The new merchandise was created using exclusive artwork with intricate details and designs. Guests will find a variety of different shirts and styles like V-necks or crew neck tees, which feature Mickey Mouse and his friends or well-known Disney park icons such as Sleeping Beauty Castle or Cinderella's Castle. There will also be official Disney fonts available to use as customize your items. Once you've made the item choice, you'll simply click on Add Personalization box to put in your family name and the year. It's important to note that special characters will not be able to be used, only letters and numbers. Shirts are available in various colors and styles for adults and kids, including short and long sleeve options, raglan shirts, ringer tees, sweatshirts, and more. Guests interested in customizing shirts check back periodically as more styles will be added to the site. And then the first comment, which I give a lot of credit to. Disney 2019 leaves no cash behind. Trademark.
Well, okay. There's also a lot of people that do say, where could I get customized shirts for my family? For our next trip. And if you think about it, it is something that Disney has not really done a good job of capitalizing on. They have had a lot of different things in the past that you can buy personalized, but it's been more along the lines of backpacks, blankets, beach towels, things like that. But to get into customizable shirts, think about it. If you're buying it on the Shop Disney site, you can use discounted Disney gift cards to get the stuff. You can go ahead and use your Disney rewards stuff from your Visa usage. You can use that rewards card to pay for it. Things like that. You have more ways to buy things, and if something's screwed up, Disney will make it right. Not saying that Etsy people won't. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of respect for a lot of Etsy people. But let's face it. I think this is one of two things. Or not one of, but there are two things. Disney wants to capitalize it, which I think is fair. And the second part is that they want to be able to, they keep their trademarks, they keep their images, they keep their intellectual property in their own court. And people are going to buy from them every single time.
The Walt Disney Company ranked number 4 on Fortune's most admired company list, and that came out moments before Walt Disney World first quarter earnings report shows a flat revenue and lower income than projected. don't fear. A lot of companies had a very bad first quarter. They will rebound.
Okay.
Quickly.
I got to say this, though. If Disney had such a flat quarter,
Down 36%.
how come it seemed like right when their earnings came out, there were people saying, Disney was making money hand over fist?
I was one of those people.
Until you read that, didn't you?
I mean, there's ways to put that on paper to lose 36% than what we as the public see. You got to remember, I'm speaking solely for me. When I say they're making hand over fist, I'm specifically speaking about movies, because they haven't really had a dud. Even though they might not have had good movies, in our opinion, they weren't duds in the box office. The parks are non-stop jam-packed.
Yep.
But they also just acquired Fox. Well, Fox subsidiaries, something called ESPN that is literally dying. It's literally a cash cow. Literally, the ESPN is like a leaking pipe, and the hole's getting bigger.
Well, the reason why I even say this, because I started looking at the report and stuff like that, and it didn't seem bad, but people using the terms, like Disney was making hand over fist, where I'm thinking to myself, it was a good return. It was a good quarter. And some people are now saying it's a bad quarter. And so maybe I'm not a financial expert, but the numbers I saw, I did see some negatives in there.
I mean, 36% down is rough. Bob Iger did get a promotion. They also, like I said, they bought the Century Fox acquisition. They are launching the Disney Plus streaming service.
True.
They are building, a direct-to-customer business is one of their top priorities. So if we look right here, they were down 36% from last year's first quarter, from 2.91 to 1.86 revenues for the company. And those numbers are in billions. The company were flat compared to last year's, decreasingly slightly from 15.351 billion to 15.303 billion. To break it down very quickly, the parks, experience, and consumer products, 5% growth in revenue and 10% growth in operating income for the first quarter. So remember when I said they were making hand over fist, and I said that numerous times in the show? There you go. There was a 5% growth and then an additional 10% growth in operating. So that is what I'm basing it off of. Now, direct to customer and international, it was down 1% in revenues and 200. Now, pay attention to this. And 223% decrease in operating income for the first quarter. You have a huge number right there. Media networks, 7% growth in revenue and 7% growth in operating income in the first quarter. And that is despite ESPN leaking like a bad ship. Studio entertainment, and now this is where I take responsibility for being wrong. Studio entertainment, 27% decrease in revenues and a 63% decrease in operating income for the first quarter.
See, here's the thing. Someone might say a 10%, that's huge. I'll be honest with you, it's not that big in a corporate world. It's big.
Yeah,
I mean, it's big to me.
You also have construction costs built into that.
Yeah.
There's a lot. But, I mean, we're not going to go into, like, the nitty-gritty. I mean, I can really break down. Yeah, but we're not. That's not what we're going to do. Maybe they'll do that privately on another show. You can also sign up. I got two final things as we wrap up here. The last thing is pretty quick. You can now sign up for the 2019 D23 Expo Design Challenge. Pretty simple. Submissions are now being accepted. This year will feature entries in 5 different categories. Once Upon a Costume, World's Adventure, Heroes and Villains, which I feel like Heroes and Villains will be a very, very popular one. Inspired by Disney, and Cast of Characters. 14 finalists will be chosen in each category to compete during the D23 Expo, with the winner in each category receiving a trophy. The best in-show winner will receive $2,300.
Whoa.
Entries are also being taken for the D23 Expo Design Challenge, which this year is themed Haunted Mansion in celebration of the attraction's 50th anniversary. Submissions will be judged on creativity, originality, and the artistic expression. 23 finalists will have their artwork displayed at the D23 Expo. Trophies will be awarded for the top 3 pieces, and the grand prize, once again, $2,300. The deadline, no pun intended there, for entry is March 29th. So coming up quickly.
Cool.
And as the final thing, as we close out our show here, once again, thank you everybody for joining us here on Behind the Ears podcast. It happened a couple days ago, something we waited to touch on. Ron Miller, the former president and CEO of Disney, did pass away. Passed away at the age of 85. Let's see. Ron Miller was the husband of Diane Disney Miller and the son-in-law of Walt Disney himself. Miller became president of Walt Disney Productions, now known as obviously Disney Company, in 1978, and later the CEO in 1983. Miller was the president of board of directors at the Walt Disney World Museum and owner of a Silverado Vineyards. Under Ron Miller's leadership, the Walt Disney Company created Walt Disney's Home Video, Touchstone Pictures, and the Disney Channel. So very sad news coming out a couple days ago. Thoughts and prayers are with his family.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's all I got. So take us away.
Sounds like a plan. You heard the show, and we hope you want more. Well, feel free to join us over at our social media platforms. Instagram and our Facebook page can be found at Behind the Ears Podcast. Our webpage is behindtheearspodcast.net, and our email is behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is @BehindTheEarsPC. And come and join the conversation about all things Disney over at the WDW community page. Don't forget to rate and review the show over at iTunes or Apple Podcasts, as it really helps us get the word out about the show. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or the Podbean app. Also, you can listen to us on Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and via Alexa and Google.
That being said, everybody, thank you all for joining us here. Thank you for all our new YouTube watchers this evening. Thank you for all our fellow watchers over on Facebook, as usual, and all the people who are downloading this and listening to us later. We appreciate you putting us in your ears and helping you get through your day. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. Trisha would kill me if I didn't mention it. Please join the WDW community Facebook page. And with that being said, I am Uncle Danny. Tuck your kids in tight, wear your seatbelts, and don't forget, there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. I am Uncle Danny. Toodaloo.
And I'm Mr. Chris. Hey, thanks a lot for joining us. Don't forget, you can watch us now here on Facebook at the Behind Ears Podcast Facebook page, or on YouTube at the Behind Ears Podcast channel. It's the same show, just, well, different way of watching. We're so glad that all of you were able to join us tonight. So I'll tell you what, we can't wait to talk to you again. Until next time, we hope you have an absolutely magical day. Take care.